The Empire's outer patrol saw the ships coming a long time before they figured out what they were actually looking at. The scanners picked up silhouettes that didn't match anything in the database, shapes that were too sharp, too quiet, just sliding through the black with zero emissions. The Imperial officers? They just shrugged it off. They figured it was some old civilian junkers or maybe lost traders drifting where they shouldn't be. Their confidence was rock solid. I mean, nobody had ever really challenged an empire this big before. The bridge crew was actually casual about it, barely looking up as they prepped the standard identify yourself broadcast. Then, the signal came in. It wasn't what they expected. A human voice spoke up. It was steady, polite, just asking for safe passage. There was no shaking, no fear, none of the panic the Empire usually heard from trespassers. It was calm, and honestly, that calmness really ticked off the fleet commander. To him, respect meant being afraid. His staff looked around, confused, replaying the audio just to be sure. That annoyance turned into anger when someone noticed something else on the track. Faint laughter, quiet, relaxed laughter in the background. Like the humans thought the Empire's scary warning protocols were funny. That was it. Curiosity was gone. Now they were offended. The commander demanded immediate surrender. He expected begging. Instead, the Terran captain just acknowledged the order with that same bored, unfazed tone. He sounded amused. That lack of fear? It messed with the officers' heads more than a threat would have. They started wondering if these strangers were just stupid, or if they knew something the Empire didn't. But protocol is protocol. The commander ordered a weapons lock. Dozens of cruisers lined up, energy cannons glowing as they painted the Terran hulls. But the foreign ships? They didn't move, they didn't raise shields, they didn't even change formation. They just sat there. It was a kind of silence that screamed confidence. Imperial techs checked their screens, totally confused by the lack of energy spikes. The Terran ships looked dead in the water, but every instinct the crew had was screaming that this was a trap. The Empire tried to scare them one more time, broadcasting a massive threat. Comply or else. The human reply came back with that faint laughter again. The Terran commander was respectful, sure, pointing out they hadn't broken any laws, but he sounded way too sure of himself. So the Empire fired. Just a small warning shot, enough to scorch the paint. The second the blast hit, static. The energy didn't explode. It didn't bounce off. It just vanished. It was like the Terran metal just ate the attack. Officers frantically reset their consoles, but the readings were nonsense. The commander looked at the view screen, expecting damage, but the Terran ships were fine, just floating there like nothing happened. The arrogance on the bridge evaporated. The Empire prided itself on having the best tech in the galaxy, but these ships, they were breaking the rules of physics. Scans started glitching out, showing the ships in 5 places at once. Engineers were yelling about ghost signals. Tactical officers were arguing that stealth shouldn't work like this. The Terran commander called again. His voice was almost sympathetic now, advising them to stop before they hurt themselves. That hurt the commander's pride more than anything. The laughter in the background wasn't mocking. It was casual, like people hanging out at a bar who didn't think there was any danger at all. The fleet commander couldn't look weak, so he ordered a full advance. But you could feel the hesitation in the room. Officers were trading looks, wondering if this was a massive mistake. Everything about these strangers was wrong. The silence, the stillness, the way they shrugged off a laser blast. By the time the Empire's formation tightened around them, the crew knew one thing for sure. These humans weren't here by accident. The fire control teams let loose. A massive barrage of plasma, kinetic rounds, and ion disruptors filled the space between them. But when the shots landed, same impossible result. No heat, no radiation. The attacks just dissolved. Screens flickered with crazy reports. Some said the human ships were transparent. Others said they were solid, but absorbing infinite energy. While the Empire panicked, the Terran commander spoke up again, soft and steady. He said this was unnecessary. He sounded like a teacher dealing with a toddler, not a soldier in a war. That relaxed certainty was terrifying. Then, the Terran ships started moving. They appeared in multiple spots on the grid instantly. Real-world physics says you can't be in 2 places at once, but the sensors disagreed. It wasn't decoys. They were shifting between points with a rhythm the Empire couldn't track. Then, without firing a single shot, the humans took out a cruiser. A thin, invisible beam touched the hull, and the Imperial ship just died. Lights out, engines cold, backups failed. It was clean, efficient, and total. The Imperial commander was screaming for answers, but his engineers had none. The Terran signal wasn't a jammer. It was like they were deleting energy from the area. Terran ships started dancing through the fleet. Every move the Empire made, the humans countered it before it even happened. It was like they were reading the commander's mind. Another Imperial ship went dark. Then another. Panic set in. Missiles flew off course. Lasers fizzled out. The Terran commander chimed in again, suggesting they disengage to save their ships. He wasn't bragging. He was doing them a favor. The Imperial officers were trying to hide their shaking hands. They realized these newcomers could take apart the whole fleet without killing a single person. Reinforcements were called. But even as the signals went out, everyone knew the truth. These humans were leagues ahead. That laughter? It wasn't bravado. It was the sound of a force that knew it couldn't lose. When the massive Imperial reinforcement fleet warped in, dreadnoughts, destroyers, the works, they thought numbers would fix the problem. The Admiral projected a huge, amplified voice, demanding submission or death. The human commander just laughed. A quiet, genuine chuckle that cut right through the tough guy act. Then, the Terran ships did something new. Their hulls turned dark, rippling like liquid metal. They vanished from sensors completely, like space just swallowed them up. Before the Empire could blink, the human ships reappeared inside the secure Imperial formation. They had micro-jumped with surgical precision. Imperial ships almost crashed into each other, trying to get out of the way. Before they could recover, the humans fired. Not lasers, just small, dense metal rods. No flash, no bang. These rods punched right through the dreadnought armor, snipping command lines and wrecking reactors without blowing up the whole ship. Imperial gunners fired wildly, but the humans were never where they were supposed to be. They were mapping the Empire's ships in real time, hitting weak points with effortless accuracy. Internal comms were filled with terror. Officers were whispering that the humans could see the future. The elite destroyer wing tried a charge. The Terran ships just blinked behind them and hit them with those shutdown pulses. The destroyers drifted, dead in space. With the main force broken, the rest tried to run. The humans cut them off, blocking escape routes without firing a lethal shot. They weren't killing anyone. They were making a point. The Terran commander opened a wide channel. He told them to stand down. It wasn't a request anymore. The Imperial crews, watching their best ships floating dead in the dark, realized their weapons were useless. The Admiral tried to threaten them again, but his voice cracked. It was over. The Terran fleet sat there, guns cold, surrounding the survivors. Their restraint was scarier than their weapons. Finally, the Imperial flagship asked for talks. The tone was weak, shaky. The human commander answered immediately, still calm, still polite. He said they never wanted a fight. He sounded sincere, but there was an edge to it now. The background laughter came back for a second, soft, amused at how stupid this all was. The Empire asked what they wanted. The answer? Exploration, knowledge, cooperation. When the Empire tried to quote border laws, the human commander shut them down. He broke down the Empire's entire government model, calling out their reliance on fear and slavery. He wasn't just guessing. He started streaming data from the Empire's own subjugated worlds. They had been watching for a long time. He gave them terms: stop the annexations, pull back the fleets, and open diplomatic channels. The Imperial Council tried to say no. It took about 3 minutes for them to change their minds after the humans sent over the battle data, showing exactly how many times they could have destroyed the fleet but chose not to. The Empire signed. They didn't sign because they wanted to. They signed because they realized humanity played by different rules. Rules where you don't need to shout to be heard. As the ceasefire settled in, the two fleets just drifted there. The Empire knew the galaxy had changed. They had met a species that offered peace with one hand and could break them with the other. News spread fast. The story of the battle and the laughter rippled across the stars. Oppressed worlds started whispering. The invincible empire had been humbled by ghosts who didn't even bother to kill them. When the humans finally left, they didn't warp out with a bang. They just bent the light around their ships and folded away, vanishing without a trace. Imperial crews stared at the empty space. Some were relieved. Most were terrified. Across hundreds of worlds, the story became a legend. The dominant phrase wasn't about the weapons or the tactics. It was simple: the humans laughed. To some, it was hope. To the Empire, it was a warning. And in every war room across the galaxy, one question kept officers awake at night. If humans laugh when they're in danger, what happens when you actually make them mad?